Hey, Delta Zero here from the Living Vicariously HD channel on YouTube. And before we actually get into the comparisons, really quick, I just want to go over the Galaxy S6 Edge itself. This is a new flagship from Samsung as of this video. It's only a couple weeks old. What makes this different from other phones is that it has a very unique glass curve to it on the sides. Now, what makes this phone special isn't just the curve. It's a combination of the incredibly high-resolution display and the curve itself that creates the visual aesthetic of the phone. Now, the purpose of this video isn't to review the phone itself. It's to compare the different resolutions from the camera and compare it to my Galaxy S3, which is what I upgraded from, just because it's been interesting to see how far it's come since then. But just for posterity, the display itself is 5.1 inches. The resolution, and this is where it combined with the edged bevel makes this phone very special. It's 1440 by 2560 pixels, which is quad HD. It's larger than HD in terms of resolution. The pixel density is something like 577 pixels per inch is what it was, which is just makes it look like paper. It's amazing how crisp this phone looks, which relates to the camera and how it looks on display. Speaking of which, the camera itself is 16 megapixels on the back. It has an aperture of 1.9, which makes it pretty dang good in low lighting for a camera phone at the moment. It comes along with a lot of special features, and there are a lot of different effects and things like that that are programmed in, ready to go. You have optical image stabilization, manual focus, face detection, smile detection even, digital zoom, which you'd expect, and a few other things. Lots of different filters you can use as well. But we're not going to focus on the manual, no pun intended, we're not going to focus on the manual controls, the ISO adjustments and things like that. This is a video about the point and shoot aspects of this phone. This is your point and shoot replacement phone. So when you see something, you take it out, your phone out, take a picture, shoot a video, and be done with it. And how does it turn out? By letting everything auto adjust and by using the finger touch to focus. How does it all come together as a simple point and shoot phone? Well, that's what you're going to see here today. So here's how this comparison is going to go down. I shot 3 different videos in 3 different situations at 3 different resolutions. I did the same or similar things in each video. I went at the native resolution and then I digitally zoomed and then I zoomed out, things like that. And just one note, I did wind up skipping the quad resolution, the quad HD. I probably should have included it. I apologize, but this is going to showcase HD at 30 frames a second with all the bells and whistles that come with the Samsung phone, all the processing that goes on, the face detection, things like that. It's going to show the HD 60 resolution, which is 60 frames a second, skimping on a few of the extra perks that come along with standard HD at 30 frames. And then I'm going to showcase 4K. So without further ado, let's see how this turned out. So, which one turned out the best? It's tough to say because I did use digital zoom and I try to compare that in this video as well as in this comparison right here. But I do like the color replication of the 1080p with 60 frames a second. For some reason, the other ones didn't quite capture how it actually looked as well as that one. And I just want to add that YouTube does not allow at the moment 4K with 60 frames a second, so I had to sacrifice doing the upload in 60 frames, unfortunately, until that technology is available. Well, you be the judge of which one turned out best. Here's our next example. Before we go into the comparison, real quick, I'm sure you noticed my fingers in front of the phone in that initial video. This thing is very hard to hold. I would highly recommend a skin because it's very sleek and slippery. But anyway, as you can see here, very clearly now, 4K is the victor of this comparison. The details come out because when you zoom in digitally, you have twice the resolution to work with, so it looks less grainy and less lossy, even though it is with the digital zoom. So 4K has won this one. Clearly, the 1080p video with 30 frames a second has some color processing going on in the background. This is the only resolution I used that didn't have a lot of limitations on it compared to the 1080p with 60 frames and especially the 4K. Unfortunately, as I alluded to before, YouTube does not allow 4K video and 60 frames a second. It's either one or the other, so you can't see how buttery smooth that middle video is. Nevertheless, the touch to focus feature on this camera is incredible. At the moment, it is a very awesome camera, very versatile. Any flaws I've seen, I would say probably the low lighting with the overexposure. It clearly overexposes a lot of things in low lighting, but it does make more things visible, so it's kind of give or take. The microphone is prone to surface noises and all kinds of scratching and all kinds of rustling, so hand placement is very important when shooting video with the S6. Interestingly, I've noticed that it does a good job of blocking out a lot of the sun, so it can detect a lot of that overexposure outside, at least in my experience thus far. I've seen clouds that I didn't even notice were there because of the camera. And especially compared to the S3, which is where I'm coming from, this thing has kind of blown me away. I'm taken aback a little bit, as you can see here with an example picture of the picture I took with the S3, and then right afterwards one I took with my S6. This device has one more camera we've neglected to talk about thus far, and that is the front-facing camera. It's packing 5 megapixels up front, and believe it or not, it can actually do quad HD in the front, not just on the back. And the back can do 4K as well, but quad HD in the front. So you have a very powerful camera. It's an excellent selfie taker for you selfie generation folk. And as you can see here, these are pretty decent lighting conditions, although I am enclosed in my car in this photo, but I got the sun coming in, and it took a pretty good photo, and it looks good. And just for a bonus, here's what the front-facing camera looks like in full HD. Hello there. This is the front-facing camera on the Galaxy S6 Edge. You can go up to quad HD, but we're not doing that. We don't play that game here. We do full HD. You can't do 4K, even if we wanted to. So this is the second best it can look. It can even look better than this in terms of resolution. You cannot focus on my face by touching it. FYI. So after about 48 hours, give or take, what do I think about this phone? I almost said camera, because that's what we're talking about. I really like the phone. I think that, I swear they're not paying me to say this. It's a really solid phone. The display is just amazing. You have to see it to believe it, just to go through it for a while and even notice how much better can it get than this. I guess they can do 4K displays, but it already looks so incredible. And interestingly, here is a picture I took with my Canon S100, which is a very solid point and shoot. Now, granted, I didn't do anything special with it. I just took the photo and left, but that was kind of the theme of this whole video. Did the same thing with the the S6, and it completely blew away my S100 from Canon. So this camera is powerful, and I will be using this frequently. I will be sneaking this into concerts. You better believe that, Jack. I don't know what that was. Anyway, thanks for watching. But again, I would say if you get this phone, get a skin, for the love of God. Get a skin, get a case, get something, because this thing is going to fall to your pocket and it's going to get cracks in it easily. But awesome phone. So thanks for watching. I'm Delta Zero of Living Vicariously. Rate, subscribe, like, share, unsubscribe, and then subscribe again. I don't know, it's just a cracker tradition, and I don't mean like something white people do.
No,